In the cold heart of space, where light rarely ventured and sound was swallowed whole, two titans ruled over fear. Darkseid, the God of Tyranny, Lord of Apocalypse, and Mongul, the conqueror of Warworld, whose iron fist choked entire star systems. For eons, they had danced around each other in a cosmic chess game, each unwilling to yield territory, each obsessed with domination. But the universe, vast as it was, had begun to shrink beneath their ambitions, and soon the dance would end. It began with the fall of Sector 3892, a remote but strategic system that bordered both Apocalypse's expanding dominion and Warworld's influence. Mongul's forces had moved swiftly, cybernetic legions tearing through civilizations that Darkseid had quietly marked for future assimilation. The planets of that system, long thought insignificant, contained temples built around fractured pieces of the Source Wall, remnants believed to hold secrets of the multiverse. Darkseid had sensed it, an ancient resonance vibrating through the Omega realm. The fragments carried whispers of pre-creation, secrets tied to the anti-life equation. Mongul didn't understand their depth, but he knew power when he saw it, and power was the only language he ever truly spoke. When Darkseid's emissary Desaad arrived to negotiate, or more accurately to demand surrender, Mongul responded not with words, but with the severed head of the envoy and a message carved into his titanium skull. "Come and take it." The insult echoed through Apocalypse like a thunderclap. Darkseid stood at the edge of the burning pits, the glow casting long shadows behind him. His eyes simmered with Omega energy, yet his expression remained cold, unchanged. "Mongul seeks oblivion," he muttered, "and I shall grant it." Meanwhile, aboard Warworld, Mongul basked in the chaos he'd stirred. The Colosseums roared with blood sport, the screams of champions echoing through corridors lined with the trophies of extinct races. Yet in his throne room, his brow furrowed. He had challenged the devil himself. Warworld had faced Kryptonians, Green Lanterns, even Brainiac once, but never Darkseid. But Mongul was no fool. He didn't wait. He prepared. Within the planet-sized war station, he activated his vault of forbidden weaponry, Sun-Eater fragments, Thanagarian antimatter cannons, and a prototype energy siphon designed to counteract Omega radiation. His technosmiths worked like madmen, building armor, drones, and traps meant for a god. Warworld became not just a weapon, it became a snare. Back on Apocalypse, the preparations were more philosophical. But before his departure, he visited a chamber deep within the fire pits where the echoes of the anti-life whispered from stone and shadow. There he meditated, not for clarity, but for dominance over will itself. The anti-life equation pulsed within him like a caged storm. It hungered, and he would feed it, the soul of Mongul. Word of the impending clash spread like a solar flare across the cosmos. The Green Lantern Corps went silent in fear. The new gods watched with bated breath. Even cosmic entities like Lobo, Eclipso, and Parallax paused, sensing the gravitational tension of two tyrants destined to collide. On the fringes of the Source Wall, Metron watched through his Mobius chair, recording the inevitability. "One seeks control through chaos," he whispered. "The other through will. Both cannot stand." The day of reckoning came beneath a red star in the neutral zone of Sector 3892. Warworld hovered like a dark sun, massive and trembling with power. Then, from a boom tube carved into the very fabric of time, Darkseid arrived, not with troops or weaponry, but with sheer presence. He stood upon nothing, surrounded by cosmic vacuum, yet every atom in the vicinity bent in fear. Mongul appeared atop the highest spire of Warworld, clad in golden armor, bristling with alien weaponry, his eyes blazing with anticipation. And then, silence. No words, no declarations, only raw tension. They had both conquered thousands of worlds, broken billions beneath their heels. Now, there was only one enemy each could not allow to exist. Two tyrants, one battlefield. The universe braced for impact.
There were no cheers, no armies, no trumpets. Just a war-scarred sky and two colossal figures, floating above a barren moon. Warworld looming behind Mongul like a dark sentinel, and Darkseid still as obsidian, surrounded by faint traces of Omega radiation curling around his frame, like serpents of death. Then it began. Mongul struck first, always the aggressor. With a thunderous war cry, he leapt from his perch and launched a flurry of solar-fueled punches. Each blow cracked the sound barrier, each one meant to shatter mountains. But Darkseid met them with motionless defiance, catching Mongul's fists mid-air, his expression as calm as silence itself. The kinetic force tore craters in the moon's surface, but Darkseid didn't budge. Then came the Omega Beam's zigzagging rays of deadly purpose, warping through space in impossible angles. Mongul dodged 1, 2, 3, but the fourth struck, hitting his shoulder and erasing armor and flesh in a burst of cosmic fire. He screamed, but retaliated with a strike from his chest-mounted gravity disruptor, temporarily increasing Darkseid's body mass 10,000-fold. Darkseid plummeted into the moon's crust like a meteor, cracking it open from within. Mongul didn't wait. He slammed down with all his might, each punch laced with the power of miniature suns, shaking tectonic plates across the hemisphere. But when the dust cleared, Darkseid emerged unscathed. With a mere glance, he activated the full wrath of the Omega effect. Mongul was flung backward into orbit, his body cracking through Warworld's outer plating, smashing into his own Colosseum, collapsing the gladiator arenas. Bloody but furious, Mongul activated the planet's defense grid. Thanagarian antimatter cannons locked onto Darkseid. Thousands of them. Die, God. Mongul bellowed, activating all weapons at once. Space lit up. Apocalyptic beams, annihilation bursts, and time-tearing torpedoes converged upon Darkseid in a symphony of cosmic destruction. For 10 seconds, the battlefield was nothing but blinding light and radiation. Even the stars seemed to dim. But as the fires waned, Darkseid still stood. Torn cape, cracked armor, one glowing red eye. He raised a single hand, and Warworld screamed. The Omega sanction pulsed from his palm, not aimed at Mongul, but at Warworld itself. Time fractured. Space buckled. Entire systems within the artificial planet began to collapse inward, as if reality itself was rejecting its existence. No, no. Mongul roared, leaping toward Darkseid with desperation. You won't take what I built. Their fists collided mid-air, shattering moons in distant orbit. Mongul grabbed Darkseid by the throat and slammed him into what remained of the battle moon. Darkseid responded by driving his knee into Mongul's chest, cracking ribs and shaking galaxies with the impact. Still, Mongul fought. Still, he endured. But Darkseid had grown bored. I have conquered gods, he said. You are but a warlord pretending to matter. He raised both hands. Omega, Omega. A twin stream of Omega beams erupted, not just destroying Mongul's armor, but unraveling his soul's connection to linear time. Mongul screamed as he was ripped across dimensions, forced to relive every defeat, every humiliation, every failure. It was more than pain. It was annihilation itself. Finally, Darkseid closed his fists. Mongul collapsed, smoking, twitching, eyes glazed over. Still alive. Barely. Darkseid approached and stood over him. I leave you broken, not out of mercy, he said coldly, but as a monument. So all who worship force shall remember which hand holds true power. With that, he turned away. Warworld was imploding behind him. Mongul lay twitching, his pride shattered, his power meaningless. Darkseid opened a boom tube and vanished, his silhouette devoured by the light. And in the silence that followed, across the galaxies, a single truth echoed. There is only one Lord of Tyranny, and his name is Darkseid.